G'day mate and welcome back to Factorio with me, JD. We're doing another base tour, and I guess this one you could technically call my base, even though I've built basically none of it. This is actually the community map server, because this week I was a little bit short on people actually volunteering their bases up for me to have a walkthrough. I've had lots of people say, it'll be ready next week. It's still not ready. So, we're going to have a look through the community map, and it is a modified map, so I've got no problem doing modded maps. Nope, biters are on the right side of the wall. Good. And obviously it's a multiplayer server. So we are... Time... 2 days, 1 hour, 50 minutes. We're about 50 hours into the map. And from the looks of it, SpaceX has started. So we have completed the tech tree. At least the basic tech tree. We're now on to SpaceX science and a few of the actual modified sciences. This, as I said earlier, this does have the more science mod. So we're going to start over here and we'll work our way across. Yeah, I haven't been on the server for 12 hours. So there's actually quite a lot on the map that has changed in 12, 14 hours. Alright, let's find a good spot to stand. So, we've got oil, which I actually personally rebuilt because the old one was horrible. And it turns out we're backing up on light oil. So, we need to burn more light oil into... Actually, the whole base is being fueled by solid fuel. So, there you go. Well, we have fairly default smelter arrays, although this is for stone bricks, so it's twice the length required for stone bricks because stone takes 2 seconds to craft. Stone takes... Oh, brick, down here. It takes 2 stone rather than 1 stone, so this smelting array should actually be only half as long, so the people that jump on the server next know that, and they can hopefully fix it. We do have iron unload down here, which is now going through a proper 8 lane balancer. But we do have odd iron lines going off here. We've got a dedicated iron smelter that's doing just the iron needed for acid from looks of it. Along with a... No, there was a engine build here last time I was here. Actually, we've got iron also going up to do batteries, but there's no copper because copper's just slow. Again, I'm willing to bet there's a copper unload somewhere. No, it's being taken off what is left of the original copper mine and going all the way around the map to get over here to produce copper for our batteries. So obviously that should be consolidated a long time ago. Probably into the actual proper copper unload and take a belt halfway across the map if needs be, but make sure your battery line doesn't run out. We've got good old steam power here, and I already made comment on this one. There's one boiler, one offshore pump running 19 boilers with 38 steam engines. The next row has one for 20. And then the third offshore pump has one offshore pump for 21 boilers for 42 steam engines. So I'm guessing nobody could pick the right ratio, so they just went for, we'll do all 3 and one of them should hit the spot, hopefully. Iron smelting has been upgraded to beacons. And this is a build I did last night at like 1 AM, and I have a feeling it's slightly wrong. Considering one belt's backed up and the other one belt's short, I have a feeling that I'm actually off only by one smelter. It should be 4 on one side, 4 on the other, and 1 doing both sides. It also probably doesn't help that that one's not being fed at full speed. We've got a couple of old smelters still hanging around that probably should be packed up and replaced for the beacon ones. We've got copper that has not been upgraded yet, and Wow, we've got some copper being fed. Copper ore being fed through the bus. Rather than normally it's something you'd wrap around the outside of the base and feed in over here. But it is being prioritized to make sure that we empty out the one that's basically in the middle of the base. You can see we've well and truly built around it. We've got red circuits on that side and our blue circuits on that side with... On the bright side, nobody built over copper. We do have some copper upgraded to electric furnaces, which is always good, but we do have a shit ton being dumped into bots. Oh, wow. So we've got copper going in here to be made into copper wire, to be shipped to greens, to be shipped to reds, to make greens and reds via bots, to then finally being turned into modules. Somebody needs to be shot, because that is... Considering the base is mostly belt-based, that is 700 bots, probably in this area alone. Probably 5 of the 700 in this area alone. Running around, flying stuff here, there, and everywhere. We have a module build, which has been... I pasted down a speed and a prod mod build, and somehow we've ended up with 2 prod mod builds, but sure. Sure. We have science I haven't got to yet, but we will do a trip down science lane because it's complicated. We have a good old train track build just tacked on anywhere. Just shove it in some corner of the base. Along with what looks like the original gears and pipes build, just like that's where the original iron lane was. This is the original green circuits, which has been routed in to do half a dozen things, and it works. So it was a temporary build that became permanent, because that never ever happens in Factorio. We have our tree buildings, I guess your best way of calling it. So, seed extractor and a wood plantation. I have no idea how these work. I didn't actually... Let's actually go look over there. Now I got power armor. It's not that far away. I spent 2 hours wandering around last night, basically naked, because we'd got to the stage of unlocking power armor, but hadn't actually... So, you need an organic tree, which gives you 5 organic seed saplings. And trees are requested from... So if you put in 1 organic seed sapling and wait 300 seconds, you get an organic tree, is that right? You put in 5 saplings, you get an organic tree. You've only got 1 recipe. Aha! Okay, so we've got 2 different recipes here. So somewhere is the other half of the build. And we'll go break. This is it. Add an organic tree and a handsaw and get 25 raw wood. So that's where our raw wood's coming, because we did spend a long time cutting down trees manually to make all the cork lids we needed for all our science pots. Now, if you haven't seen the last couple of videos I've done on this map, we've got a couple of mods. The main one we're going to cover is the More Science Space Extended, and the SpaceX mod. So SpaceX is going to get its whole dedicated episode on that mod shortly. But this one basically changes the way science works and makes all the sciences dependent on one another. So we need to make a science pot to then turn a red science pot into a liquid to add fast assemblers to it to just complicate the recipe, which makes it go green. I don't know why we're using fast assemblers. Obviously, a stack inserter, which is green, would make more sense, but sure. To then bottle it up in a bottling factory. which is one of these guys. So we take an empty bottle and blue and green science fluid, and we put it in the bottle, and so it comes out as a science pot. We have to make the bottles manually with glass and cork, and we have to make the cork from wood, from raw wood. So bring the wood in, turn it to raw wood, turn it into a cork, put the corks on a belt, and away we go. Now don't forget, we've got to do this for all the different science packs. There's a lot of science packs to get through. But yes, to make green, you need to make red. To make military, you need to make green, which means you need to make red, and so on and so forth. A lot of these are dependent on one another, and then some of the higher tiers, like a light blue is dependent on orange, which is dependent on green, which is dependent, yep. Same with the purples, dependent on dark blue. Pink is dependent on light blue, on orange, on green, on red. And advanced is dependent on dark blue, on green, on red. So I guess purple is probably the worst one, because that's dependent on basics. Logistics is dependent on basic power, which is dependent on basic automation, which is dependent on basic science fluid 2, which is dependent on basic fluid science 1. So a nightmare, a living nightmare. And this is again turning trees into wood. We have purified water, which takes in sand, which we have to... No, it takes in water and outputs sand and purified water. Alright, which is one of the main components of all the different science builds. Oh, wow, we've actually got tanks. And tanks of science fluid. We've done well. Science is off, but, you know, we've done well. We have our sand factory, which brings in stone and makes sand. Although we're sort of getting enough stone from the purifying water at this stage. Now, our science builds are what you could call massive. So we have a red science build, a green science build, to make an orange science build, which then makes a light blue science, and that both those exit onto our science bus. We actually have a liquid science bus. We've got dark blue, which is again red to green to dark blue, and then exits onto the science bus. We've got a military, which is red to green to military, onto liquid science bus. Purple is red to green to orange to blue to purple, and onto the science bus. We've got dark purple, which is red to green to dark blue to purple. That's a lot of machines for purple. Damn. And I think yeah, purple was the worst one. No, the pinky one is. This one. Yeah, this one's got the most steps. So you got to go to orange to light blue to the light pink. Whereas this one goes green to dark blue to purple. And then we've got the top-notch science packs is red to green to dark blue to yellow. Alright. So that's our science on the bottom side of the bus. You remember most bases where the intermediates normally take up more room than anything else. Intermediate-wise, we have a pretty basic green circuit build. I was actually looking at this last night, and my only complaint is I can't put a beacon in here. So, if you see my playthroughs, I tend to put a beacon there, and a beacon there. And that is enough for me to change the ratio from 3 to 2 to a 1 to 1. Alright, with prod mods. But that was my one complaint about this build. It's a little bit too squished to get in that extra beacon. That, and it's got some weird belts that I don't really understand. Like, you know, this one comes through and it splits on this side, this splits on this side, then dies. Whereas this one continues through. I just don't get it. We've got a fairly simple maul, which was lacking recycling until, again, I popped on last night. And you can see this insert is capped to 100, obviously, because it's not spinning. But then I've filtered, requested 9,000 undergrounds into this chest. So this one runs automatically off recycled goods. Same with this one. This is obviously capped to... Somebody's wired it. I don't know who the hell's wired it. But okay. Same with this one. This one I know is capped to 50 because 50 splitters is all you really need. And then I've requested in 800 and we've got 62 in stock. That one was set to 500 probably. And yeah, somebody's wired both of these. And we're now requesting gears straight into this machine. Whatever. Whatever. And there's now... filters 11. See, this is the problem. Somebody's tweaked it. Yeah. Somebody's tweaked it. Anyway, fairly standard ball. We have a red circuit build, which is using undergrounds to get the copper wire up the inside. I'm not a fan, obviously. I've done a lot of tweaking to my own build to get it to the point where I can take a belt of each, and then I actually output the copper cable out to this belt, run them all the way up, and then use a filter splitter now to stop the copper cable, but let the red circuits out of the build. I much prefer that now because it means that this belt is assigned to 2 tasks rather than just one. It's less belt, and in the case of this, these are underground, so they're even more expensive. It also means that I can use shorter inserters rather than long-handed inserters, which is probably a little bit of overkill because your long-handers actually use less power compared to a fast inserter. And let's be honest, by the time you unlock fast inserters, everything becomes fast inserters. We have solar construction and accumulator construction with a little bit of power poles tacked on the ends because I'm guessing they were never put in them all. Nope, I don't see power poles there anywhere. I see the saw now, because obviously that was tagged in as part of this mod pack. We've got the 2 little prod mod builds, and then we've got good old blue circuits, which is, as always, does not have nearly enough green circuits to feed it. We've got a robot build. Yeah, standard engines to electric engines to robot frames into both robot types with a simple pipe and gears on site. We have... This one I did find interesting. This is a power armor build fed by belts. So it's not ratioed, which is a whole separate goal. But you have speed 1 to speed 2 to speed 3 into power armor. Speed 1 to speed 2, efficiency 1 to 2 to 3 into power armor. There's a legs build here, which is bringing stuff in via bots. Personal laser defense, again bringing stuff in via bots, and the belt's available. We've got crappy shields to better shields. We've got crappy batteries to better batteries. We've got a night vision, and we've got fusion reactors, of course. But for some reason, these are turned off, so I'm guessing there's some in storage. Again, I would be setting a lot of these chests to be buffer chests, so I can actually pull back and make sure they're stored at that location and nowhere else. Along with down here we have personal robot ports, fed by its own very independent gear machine. Probably not nearly enough gears, because these things chew gears, but so be it. And the bus I can say overall is fairly neat. It is unfortunate that all these takeoffs, people have gone and, like, this is assigned to move the material over to here, to then move it to here, to then move it to here. So this is, rather than using a... Oh, that's a lot of damage. Oh, so there's an outpost or 2 being eaten. Obviously the combat team needs a little bit of work. I don't even know where those biters came from. Do we have artillery? We did have artillery. Nope. Range. Nope, not even close. the butters must have wandered all the way down here. Because nobody's walled that one and that one off. That's a shame. We have walled off most of the fronts. Apart from this. This is weird. Butters just stacking up, waiting to come eat us. So yeah, the bus. The takeoffs, somebody's been through and changed these and manually set them to prioritize the actual middle takeoff. Which is a little bit of a shame because it means it wasn't built, the splitter, the takeoff wasn't built correctly in the first place. I think it was the GM8 event. No, not the GM8 event. It must have been the rocket race, the last, so not last GM8 event, but the one before that, the GM8 rocket race. I went through and replaced half the split-offs on the main bus because it was this design, which takes these two belts and gives you a mix, in theory, of these two belts here. So we go from 100, 100, 100, 100 to, in theory, 50% of both of these belts, down to 50% of each of those belts, 50% of, no, so this represents one belt and this represents one belt. This goes straight under and that goes straight under. So we got two full belts, which we're then taking half off here and half off here. All right, so we go from 100 and 100, we go to 50 and 50, and then we're merging those together to, in theory, give you a full belt. But the problem is, as you can see, sliding further and further down the bus. Where's green circuits? Green circuits is probably the best example. We're starting with almost a complete belt with weird shenanigans on the edges, but sure. So we're starting almost 4 complete belts. To then we're taking some off here, some off here, some off here. This is taking off 2, which is overkill for what this is designed for. It's taking off another one. Another one. And you can see this is definitely less than... This is equal to one of these belts. When really, this should be equal to all of these belts combined together. So it should be 25% of that, and that. Right? So this belt should be a lot thicker. This belt should be a lot thicker. We've got a takeoff doing nothing. We've got a balancer doing nothing. We've got another takeoff doing absolutely nothing. And what the hell are they going to? Oh, they're going to more science. So by the time we get to the end of the bus, where it's doing basically nothing, it really doesn't affect it. But I like my belts to always take 25% off each belt and shove it out to the side. So it means each time it runs through one of these, you can noticeably see, if it is a full belt takeoff, you can noticeably see that it's becoming less and less after it goes through each one of these. Potentially, if you're taking a full belt off each time, by the time it's gone through 4 of them, there's nothing left over pretty much. Whereas this is being... so it's taking a amount... No, it's not moving. So this is taking a amount. That is more than a full belt's worth because it's disappearing. That's maybe a half belt's worth. That's a full belt. That's a full belt. So it's like at least 3 belts worth are being taken off. And there's still, well, there's 4 whole lanes backed up. So there's at least 2 lanes worth of material left on these belts. Whereas when I build mine, there's generally nothing left. And then we have a classic waterfall balancer doing absolutely nothing because there's no priority set on it. So, obviously there are going to have to be some lessons about belt balancers and how they work. Oh, we've got a classic Manzuri 8-8, which is 50% throughput limited. So this stuff can't get out to here fast enough, and this stuff can't get out to here fast enough. So essentially what this has done is... It is being fed from both sides, so it doesn't matter too much. But it is slowing things down. And that belt is just dead-ended. So this lane, as soon as it goes through that splitter, dead ends. And this is why we actually have less throughput from that point forth. Yeah. Who do we blame for that one? Who carries a name? It's gaming. This belt here is your fault. It's clearly marked. In fact, the whole idea was your fault. Yeah, this is a Madzuri 50% throughput limited 8 lane balancer. The only way to get this to 100% throughput is to put one of these with a second one right in front of it, which takes up a fair bit of a space, whereas this one, which is off the wiki, is 100% throughput limited right off the bat. And my actual go-to for an 8 lane balancer. So yeah, I think that's probably going to bring us to the end of this base tour. As always, thank you guys for watching. I do hope you enjoyed these base tours. If you wish to submit your base... Oh, we've got another one. At least you got the thingy the right way this time. Yeah. That's missing its undergrounds. Again, it's gaming. So we've cut 2 belts entirely. And it's no longer balancing as it feeds through. And then... that's doing nothing. Then we're coming here, and we're taking off more than it's allocated. To then go to there, to take off, to then refill this lane. And all these are stationary. Yep. So... great base, guys, apart from the bus really needs some work. But that's okay, because I'm about to install Upgrade Planner. Anyway, as I was saying, I really hope you guys enjoy. I really want to say that if anybody wishes to have their base toured for the next event, for next week, please, by all means, leave your comments down below or jump on my Discord and come chat to me live. Because yeah, I want to get through. I want to tour a base a week. You know, keep it lively for both me and for the community. And this week, nobody was available to have their base toured, so we're jumping on the community map. Also, the community map is completely open. It is hosted on the GM8 servers, which already been hosted in the EU for the first day, then in the US for the last 20 hours or so, and now it's actually hosted in AU. And I do plan on moving it around from server to server to server. To get a feel for all the different servers. But yes, the links for this map are on my Discord, so you're all welcome to join, come along, have a play, and fix the main bus, obviously, because nobody can build a main bus in this save. Apart from, it's very neat, and it's very straight. I'll definitely give the boys that. It's very neat and very straight. But yeah, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you guys for watching. As always, hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next base tour. Alright.